The House has voted to increase stimulus checks for Americans to $2,000 a person instead of $600. Lawmakers from both sides say the $900 billion is just a temporary bandage.
This bill is not sufficient.
Social Security benefits, SSDI and SSDI. There's a ton of information that I want you to know, so definitely you don't want to miss out on this video. Now, a new report shows that only a small percentage of the money set aside to help New Jersey struggling homeowners has been distributed. These were funds that the state received as part of the American Rescue Plan stimulus package. Analysts have shared records from the Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency that showed that the state had given out fewer than 4% of the funds from October 2021, everybody. So what this means is that through next year, 2023, New Jersey received a little more than $300 million, and of that, $270 million was supposed to go out for assistance. The money is supposed to help prevent foreclosures for people that owe money in mortgages, pay property tax or homeowners insurance, or have homeowner association fees or dues. Now, the program has been up and running for about a year, and New Jersey, everybody, has about $10 million and 4% of the funds out for the people. A new tax relief program for the people in Maine over this age of 65 has proven to be quite popular in the first year. The program allows homeowners to get property taxes paid for and frozen at the previous year's level. The Maine legislature approved a few $100,000 early this year to get the problem and program up and running. State lawmakers will need to set aside more money during the season to at least partially reimburse some cities for the cost of providing property tax benefits. The Treasurer, Stacey Garrity of Pennsylvania, also wants to make sure people in Pennsylvania who use the state's property tax rent rebate program know about the one-time bonus rebate that's available this year. The Pennsylvania Department, everybody, has called for at least starting to sending the one-time checks again. Nancy Pelosi is urging her colleagues to get behind a massive bill to fund the government through most of next year, touting new funding for Democratic priorities and citing an urgency to get the package to President Biden's desk before potential shutdown at the end of the week. In a letter to fellow Democrats, the outgoing speaker cited a number of Democratic victories in the package, including a provision to hike nutrition and to help the low-income families. Pelosi wrote in a statement, "It is urgent and necessary that we enact this omnibus package so that we may keep government open and deliver for American families." Uniting House Democrats behind the proposal could be crucial, as Republicans have been highly critical of both the substance of the funding package and the process that led to it. Republicans are set to take control of the lower chamber in January, and they've been urging GOP senators to oppose a long-term bill in favor of a short-term patch that would grant the incoming Republicans more leverage. Now, Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy, which are Republicans, are trying for the speaker's gavel next year and need support from conservatives and Democrats. In order to win this, the only thing to do is send out stimulus payments. So let's see if President Biden can do more for the people and send out stimulus checks. Tell me what you guys think about this in the comments.
Burn pits were the cause of his illness. Army Sergeant Robinson died in 2020. He was only 39 years old. I have heard from many veterans, service members, and their families who have also been raising the alarm about burn pits. Gina Cancelino of New York told me about her husband, Joseph, who was a Marine Corps veteran, an NYPD sergeant, and a dad of 2 girls. In 2017, he developed a very rare, very aggressive form of testicular cancer, as well as thyroid cancer. He died in 2019 when he was just 52. Madam President, this is simply unacceptable. Our service members risk their lives to keep us safe, and all they ask for is care in return. But our government has failed them repeatedly. First, it was Agent Orange, then it was the Blue Water Navy vets. Today, it's burn pits. It's why nearly 2 years ago, I started working with Jon Stewart, John Field, and a strong coalition of veteran service organizations to craft the Presumptive Benefits for Warfighters Exposed to Burn Pits and Other Toxins Act. This bill forms the centerpiece of the Honoring Our Pact Act, which has now been named in honor of Sergeant Robinson. The bottom line, it would remove the unsurmountable and
$600 stimulus checks are going out, and the money could be showing up soon in your bank account. Brian Malahy asking questions about how this money is going to impact people in Utah. And Brian, you talked to some people today. What are they saying about this stimulus money?
One in particular who said it's helpful, it's better than nothing, but it doesn't appear to be having a great effect in terms of victory laps over $600.
A growing number of Democrats are now warning the Federal Reserve of a recession in the United States. The Biden administration is looking for a new plan to avoid a recession, and direct deposit payments are also arriving in millions of bank accounts this very week. So folks, the Federal Reserve is most likely going to raise interest rates by 3/4 of a percentage point again. This is the fourth hike that we've ever seen, and it's still possible another rate increase of that magnitude could come in December. But for the big questions is, many investors and American consumers need to find out whether the Fed will send the money into people's bank accounts and whether or not this will cause a recession with these massive rate increases. There are also hopes that any downturn will be mild. However, this is uncharted territory for the Fed. The former central bank chairs and the Treasury Secretary never had to raise rates this many times in a row by such large amounts, so it's unclear what this will do to the economy. The housing market is already starting to show signs of strain, and mortgage rates have also skyrocketed this year as a result. There's also a growing number of Democratic lawmakers on Capitol Hill who are warning Federal Chair Jerome Powell and other Fed members to slow down the rate hikes because they fear even tighter monetary policy will lead to recession, folks. But as long as the jobs market remains healthy, the Fed is probably going to continue to focus solely on its price stability mandate and ignore all that stuff about maximum employment. And the solid rebound in gross domestic product in the third quarter following the 2 straight quarters of economic contraction may also quiet some worries on recession. It could prompt the Fed to continue its aggressive rate hiking stance, even if such a policy risk causing recession down the road. The worry is that the Fed may be choosing to look more at current economic data and is not thinking about the lag effect that it has on existing rate hikes. Economists are also forecasting a slowdown in job growth, but not a substantial one. According to estimates, experts predict that 200,000 jobs were added in October, down from job gains of 263,000 in September. The unemployment rate, which fell to 3.5% in September, is expected to have ticked up to 3.6% this month, but it's still near a half-a-century low. Even if the pace of hiring is starting to slow, it's clear the labor market remains tight, and wages have grown at an above-average price as well. No, however, not as fast as inflation. Folks, don't forget about this. The government said in the September jobs report that the average hourly earnings rose 5% in the past 12 months. Fed typically prefers to see wage growth in the 2% to 3% range as a sign that inflation is under control. And so more of a dramatic slowdown in wage growth seems unlikely as the job market just remains robust and consumer prices just keep rising. And if you're still waiting for a California stimulus check, you might not have to wait much longer. While the state's checks sent out direct deposit payments from October to December and debit cards are starting to go out in the beginning of this month, there are still a lot of Californians waiting for the refund to be deposited into their bank. However, these people actually won't have to wait much longer. California did start a second round of payments of at least more stimulus checks that went out earlier last month as well. And the one-time California stimulus check of $200 to $1,000 is all depending on your filing status and the income reported on your tax return. So if you're expecting a payment via direct deposit, you may want to start checking your bank account again each day. Even if it has arrived already, you will only qualify for a direct deposit payment. It should show up in your bank account by the end of